Currently, a debate is raging in Thiruvananthapuram. The question is whether the sitting MP Shashi Tharoor, who has been representing Thiruvananthapuram for the last 15 years, has done enough for the development of the city. Now, let's improve the scope of the question to a few more years. Say, right from 1990 till 2024. Did the different governments that ruled Kerala and the different MPs who represented Thiruvananthapuram do enough for the development of the city? Let's try to find the answer impartially. Let's give a fair and impartial trial. This is Hari Kumar. Welcome to Insights. I landed in Thiruvananthapuram for the first time in 1992 for higher studies. From 1992 till date, I have been in the city on and off. So I can tell confidently that I know the city like the back of my hand. If you ask me about the development of Thiruvananthapuram in more than 30 years, right from 1992 till date, I would say nothing much has changed in Thiruvananthapuram in the last 30 years. And I am sorry to say that those representatives of people who were controlling Thiruvananthapuram or who were ruling Thiruvananthapuram have not done anything major, anything significant to improve the city. Now, right in the beginning, I would say that I would touch on the current controversy whether Mr. Shashi Tharoor has done enough. The question is asked by his BJP opponent, Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar. And in reply to the question, Mr. Tharoor says that he played a central role in the development of bypass, that is National Highway, the development of Thiruvananthapuram International Airport and Vizhinjam International Seaport. Now, when we look into the issue, I would say there are many gray areas. You cannot say who really brought the development or who is responsible for bringing about the development of the port or airport. But I would say there is a test to find whether one particular person is responsible for the development or not. The test is you need to check if this person had not been the representative of people, that is, if Mr. Shashi Tharoor had not been the MP, would this have happened? If the answer is if Shashi Tharoor had not been the MP, this would not have happened. The whole credit will go to Mr. Tharoor. But for example, take the case of the National Highway. The National Highway development is part of the development of National Highway, not just in Kerala, but which is happening all over the India. So if you look into that aspect, you find that the development of NH 66 is happening right from Kasaragod to Thiruvananthapuram. And if I give the credit, I will give 80 marks to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Mr. Nitin Gadkari, who is the Minister of Transportations. Then 10 mark I will give to Shashi Tharoor. At least he has not subverted the efforts of central government. 10 marks I will give to Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan also. Unlike some of the previous left chief ministers, Pinarayi Vijayan was also taken a positive stand in some ways for the development of highways. But I will say I'm sure that the major credit should be given to the central government. And the same is the case with the airport, and there is nothing different in the case of Vizhinjam International Seaport also. So in these three cases, I would give Shashi Tharoor the credit for not subverting. And when the privatization of Thiruvananthapuram Airport and when the port was handed over to Adani Group, Mr. Tharoor didn't create a hue and cry unlike the previous communist representatives of people who said that the public assets are being transferred into the private sector and the country is being sold out. So at least Shashi Tharoor has not raised the allegation that the central government is flogging off public assets. So he really deserves credit for that. But I will give 80% marks to Mr. Narendra Modi. But for his ministry, all these would not have happened. But if some other persons were MP or MLA or Chief Minister in Kerala, then also it would have happened. So that is the case. Now let us go into the development of Thiruvananthapuram. In 1990s, one of the major problems in Thiruvananthapuram was the lack of a proper garbage disposal system, and that problem continues till date. I would say that the crying need of the people, when I landed in Thiruvananthapuram, I still remember, near Tambanur I could see mounds of garbage, rotting garbage and foul smell emanating from there. The situation has not changed much, though there is a little improvement, and garbage is collected and processed in a decentralized manner at many places. But the authorities have failed to build a centralized garbage disposal plant for Thiruvananthapuram. There were some efforts to build one at Vilappil, but that has not succeeded. I think the governments and the representatives of people need to convince people of different localities about the safety and the importance for a garbage disposal system. And if a plant is erected or built at some other suburban areas, the government needs to convince the people of suburban areas that your region won't be adversely affected because of this plan. And it should be done in a perfect way. And the governments and representatives of people have failed, or the public lack trust in the representatives of people. So that is their fault. They cannot run away from it. Now what are the other areas which need to be examined? The other areas include, one is transportation, the second is education, the third is healthcare, and fourth, employment opportunities. There are so many areas, but I cannot discuss each and everything in a limited time. So let's start with the education sector. Thiruvananthapuram was well known in the past for the facilities it offered for higher education. People from all parts of Kerala flocked to Thiruvananthapuram for higher education. Not just from Kerala, even from the southern districts of Tamil Nadu. When I was in Thiruvananthapuram in 1990s, I have seen many people from Tirunelveli and Kanyakumari districts who came to Thiruvananthapuram to prepare for Tamil Nadu civil services, because so many libraries were available here and coaching centers were also here. And they made use of it, and I know many people who had gotten into Tamil Nadu civil services and All India civil services by using the facilities available in Thiruvananthapuram. During those days, the higher education institutions in Thiruvananthapuram, University College Thiruvananthapuram, Arts College Thiruvananthapuram, Women's College Thiruvananthapuram, all under the state government, they were all government institutions, commanded respect all over the state. Unfortunately, rampant politicization have destroyed the reputation of all those institutions. I am sad to say that as an MP, Shashi Tharoor has not even responded properly about the deterioration of education sector in Thiruvananthapuram. Of course, people expected from Shashi Tharoor some out-of-the-box ideas, and we also expected Shashi Tharoor to use his influence and international experience to further develop Thiruvananthapuram as one of the major education centers, not just in India but in Asia, and raise them to the level of perhaps United States or UK. Unfortunately, Mr. Tharoor has not done anything. Now those higher education institutions in Thiruvananthapuram have their standards have fallen. And look at the schools also. There was a time when government schools in Thiruvananthapuram like Model School, Boys School in Thiruvananthapuram, Cotton Hill Girls High School in Thiruvananthapuram, they all attracted people from all parts of the state. Now unfortunately these institutions are a far cry from their previous image, and I don't want to say anything more about it. They are in such a sad situation. Did anybody do anything about these education institutions? I'm not just blaming Shashi Tharoor. Did the state government do anything? Absolutely. The communist parties, they have organized strikes and politicized these institutions, and now the standards have fallen, and unfortunately Thiruvananthapuram has lost its prestige as a center of excellence in higher education. Those days Thiruvananthapuram boasted three very good libraries. One was public library, the other was university library, the third was British library. Those days British library was a center of excellence. I still remember hearing a discourse, a speech from Professor Gillian Byard, who later became the chairperson of the Booker Prize giving committee, and so many eminent personalities from the UK used to visit British Library in Thiruvananthapuram, and there was a huge wealth of books. I myself had made use of it. Public library, you would find great European literature from the French writers. You look at André Gide, Simone de Beauvoir, Jean-Paul Sartre. Name any writer and their book was there in public library. Those days I would often see people or luminaries like Professor M. Krishnan Nair, who was a well-known Malayalam critic. He had a royal gait and he walked always holding his head high. Would be there in the public library in the evenings, and people like that, Professor Gupta Nair used to come, Professor Vishnu Narayan Nambudiri used to come. These centers were centers of excellence. Same was with the university library also. So those days are gone. The British Library has closed down. Public library and university library are still there, but I am not sure whether they attract the type of crowd they used to attract earlier. So the higher education center in Thiruvananthapuram, once I forgot to tell one aspect also. Those days Thiruvananthapuram was the center of coaching for entrance, medical and engineering entrance examinations, including IIT JEE. But Thiruvananthapuram has actually lost that place, though still it continues to be a center for civil service examination coaching. Now other areas in Kerala like Pala and Thrissur have stolen a march over Thiruvananthapuram in entrance coaching, and many institutions of excellence have gone away from Thiruvananthapuram. No politician has been able to stem the tide. And if you look into the transportation facilities, the roads of Thiruvananthapuram were some of the best in Kerala, even in 1970s. They were very broad roads. We need to thank the erstwhile rulers of Travancore for their foresight. They foresaw the traffic which would happen even 25 or 30 years later, and they built big roads. But the roads of Thiruvananthapuram still continue to be almost of the same breadth, and unfortunately the politicians have not been innovative to build flyovers or bridges like that. The earlier also there was an overbridge at Tambanur that is still there. Now I forgot to tell about one aspect about the garbage disposal. The sewerage lines built during the Travancore king's time, like Parvati Putanar or Amiranjan Thod, they are now clogged with waste. Now this is the sad situation. the different governments that rule Thiruvananthapuram have failed not just to build new systems, not just to build better infrastructure, but to upkeep the existing infrastructure and to maintain them clean. So they destroyed the existing ones, they refused to build new ones. They have pushed the people into permanent trouble. But fortunately for them, the public are not bothered about such aspects and they often escape the public wrath because public refuse to answer pertinent questions. Instead of that, they are often found discussing about issues that are happening somewhere else, perhaps in Uttar Pradesh or even Uganda or some other Western countries or Middle East. Now, that is the situation. Now, if you look at the healthcare, another important aspect, Thiruvananthapuram boasted the best healthcare in Kerala in the past. People from at least right from south of Ernakulam used to rush to Thiruvananthapuram in the past. Thiruvananthapuram Medical College especially. The facilities of Thiruvananthapuram Medical College have not improved by leaps and bounds even as years pass by. Then there is the Sri Chitra Institute of Medical Science, which was formed with the liberal help of Travancore kings. And even the private hospitals in Thiruvananthapuram, they don't match the private hospitals that came up in Kochi from 2000 onwards. So I will say that the healthcare standards of Thiruvananthapuram have not improved a wee bit. Unfortunately, nobody raises the question. Now, I have told you about infrastructure, including garbage disposal, healthcare, now education system. Now, let's look into the employment opportunities. If you look behind, if you walk down the memory lane, you find that the first techno park in India was formed at Thiruvananthapuram in 1990s, early 1990s. I think that was in 1990. But things got stagnated at some point. Now the total software exports from Kerala in 2023 was nearly 20,000 crore. But you look at the software exports from Karnataka, the IT parks there were formed much later than the IT park at Thiruvananthapuram was formed. Last year, Karnataka exported software worth more than 3.27 lakh crore. Now you look at the difference, the staggering difference between exports from Kerala and exports from Karnataka. That explains a lot. This was supposed to be the major employment generating center at Thiruvananthapuram. I still remember having read in newspapers about a man like I forgot his name exactly, one Menon, who was the founder of UST Global. He chose Thiruvananthapuram to start his venture. His name was G.A. Menon. So when G.A. Menon wanted to invest in software, remember G.A. Menon was one person who was the chairman of over 28 companies and who was a tycoon in the software industry. He was based in Singapore and the United States. And such a person selected Thiruvananthapuram to invest. Those days are over. Recently, when Nissan selected Thiruvananthapuram to start their outsourcing center, they started it, but it didn't go much farther. I don't know what happened. The development of Thiruvananthapuram Technopark has been stagnated. Everybody knows it. Now, you look into the electronics industry also. Keltron was founded by a visionary named KPP Nambiar in Thiruvananthapuram in 1973. It was at that time, South Korea formed a policy for the development of export and development of electronics industry only in 1966. It was the period from 1966 to 1979 was the period when the electronics industry of South Korea developed. Almost at the same time, an electronics industry was started. The name was Keltron. The industry was started by KPP Nambiar, who was the Secretary of Electronics in Kerala government. But what is the position of Keltron now? That at a point of time, Keltron was one of the biggest electronic industries in India, but now it has degenerated. So this is the pathetic plight of industries in Trivandrum. Unfortunately, no representative of people has given any attention to the development of industrial sector in Trivandrum. Now, when I want to sum up, honestly, I feel that many people who claim credit for the development of highways or port or airport, unfortunately, they don't deserve it. Actually, Mr. Tharoor is trying to steal the credit from the sales of Mr. Narendra Modi. It is some kind of plagiarism, I would say like that. He's a writer, so I am using that term. He's some kind of plagiarist. He could have, I feel that if he wanted, he could have done much better. He could have done much more for the development of Thiruvananthapuram. Unfortunately, he failed to do so. I don't want to say about the left governments or the other previous governments because they have actually sabotaged development. I won't accuse Mr. Tharoor of sabotaging the development, but he was passive. His attitude was passive. I don't know if Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar becomes the MP of Thiruvananthapuram, he would tread a new path. Perhaps he may, I don't know. But I am sure that MPs till date, the governments till date, they have failed completely in developing Thiruvananthapuram. That's for now. I will take up the issue again. Till then, goodbye.